Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, welcome on in. It's JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports. Did you figure it out? Did it work?
Yeah, it's like Frank Dolce, like 7'2".
He definitely lowered that chair.
What?
I think he likes the.
He's sitting at the table like he's a 3-year-old.
I think it was so he didn't have to make eye contact with Lloyd. He's like, I'm going to lower it. I'm going to
hide in here.
I'm going to hide right behind the computer screen. Yeah. Well,
still
listen,
not perfect, but I got it far enough that I don't feel like I'm a toddler.
There you go. Welcome to the program, JJ and Alex.
Probably should have
97.5
kept that in
KSL
the break,
Sports Zone.
but
well, but listen, I was worried about it because you sit down and you got to have things the way you want it.
Jeez,
you know what I mean? Haven't you read JJ's contract? The chair has to be at a very specific level. We've got to figure it out. Certainly before we go on the air. My goodness. Welcome to the program. Welcome to your Thursday. Let me see here. Utah Hockey Club fires up tonight, another home game. Certainly hoping to get the taste out of the 4-0 loss on Tuesday out of their mouths. Listen, we're now one of those cities, JJ, where hockey game on Tuesday, Jazz game on Wednesday, hockey game on Thursday.
Oh, there's so many sports. What should I do?
I know.
So many options.
You
got a menu now, folks.
I know. Buffy, could you bring around the Zamboni? I'm in the mood for a hockey game tonight. Have Charles bring the Zamboni around. Ooh, if he could just have a Zamboni. If you could just have a Zamboni as like your regular like daily driver. Just
what your butler's named Charles? Did you fire Jeeves?
No, hey, listen. I go through a lot of them. If my chair's not at a certain level, you're gone. You're freaking out of here. All right.
So it wasn't Dolce, it was Jeeves. You're gone.
You're gone.
You're fired.
So tonight, Utah Hockey Club firing it up, and it's we're of course looking forward to it. But the basketball season's underway officially, and I wanted to leave early last night. I mean, I'm going to just tell you, it was a long day.
They're down 17.
It was a long day. But I actually went as a civilian to the game last night, watched the game from the upper bowl with my son and his buddy, and guess what? We had a heck of a time.
Did you find the $3 hot dogs?
I found where they were, but it was a long.
Oh, no, you didn't get to try one?
No.
I was hoping for a review.
No, listen, I'll do the full. We should have, sometimes when they do the samples at the Delta Center, they go, hey, here's what the fare looks like for the Super Bowl.
I'd like to be that guy.
I want to be the one that tries all those. Hey, by the way, we're going to open the doors for you to be able to try some of the fare. I think that they're not going to roll over and be like, here are the $3 nachos. Take a guess what they taste like. Exactly like the $3 nachos that we grew up with.
They taste like $3.
And guess what? I'm there for it.
That's okay.
I love those things. $3 hot dog, I'm there for it. But no, I didn't end up going over and buying 7 $3 hot dogs. I did not do it. I told myself I'm not going to do that, and I didn't do it. But you know what? Heck of a basketball game last night. It was fun to watch. Great opener for the Jazz, despite the fact that they lost that one. They didn't just make a contest out of it. It was really there are a lot of layers to this game. So let's jump in here. Let's get talking about this Utah Jazz basketball team. They fall to the Grizzlies last night, 126-124. Our program is brought to you by G2G Bars, all natural ingredients and no preservatives, bring you the perfect combination of protein and tastiness, and it's just awesome. You can find them at Costco, Holiday Oil, Maverick, Associated Foods, and many other places where they have the refrigerated section. Let's jump into the cut right here at the top of the show and talk some basketball.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Basketball, gimme.
I mean, if we start with the offensive side of the ball, I think the second half is a blueprint for how we'd like to play. The first half, we just sort of put ourselves behind the curve, played a little bit too much one-on-one, Our decisions to pass were usually about a dribble and a half late, and so we weren't able to capitalize on some advantages that we gained. But I think the second half was a much better picture of how we'd like to play offensively.
Your head coach of the Utah Jazz, Will Hardy. Yeah, you know what? It was a tale of two halves for the Jazz. They looked pretty flat in that first half. Well, I should say, really, the Memphis Grizzlies came out, and the Jazz didn't have much of a defensive answer for them. They were pushing tempo quite a bit, and that Jazz team was like, they were caught off guard. They were caught off guard a handful of times. And I thought it was going to be problematic for Walker Kessler. I thought they mixed up the minutes perfectly last night. Taylor Hendricks, you saw him come into the game. He went 3 for 5 for 3. That's a 60% clip. It took him a minute to get going, though. It took a minute for Colin Sexton to get going. It took a minute for it never really turned around for Keontae George, who was 3 of 18 last night for a whopping 16.7% from the field. I have no doubt that Keontae will not have games like that very often, but he was rattled a little bit. But performances last night that were really, really good. And I'm going off of what I think DJ told us the other day during our roundtable, which was not the 60 losses, because that was the main thing he wanted to emphasize.
Still in play.
But look at the minutes played by some of these guys. You had 34 from Lowry. That's your guy, and he gives you 35 points.
All-star level player.
Phenomenal. And he went to the line 14 times, made 13 of those. And he had 35 points on the night. You showed exactly why you love that guy. But obviously we're watching guys like Cody Williams. We're watching guys like Bryce Sensabaugh, who got 12 minutes. Cody Williams played almost 20. The young guys there, they were not joking. They got him out there. But you had a good mix because John Collins was on the floor quite a bit. But the performance of the night for me, I know Lowry had 35, but Walker Kessler shocked me.
Yeah.
He really did, because he came out with a fire that I haven't seen in him. Maybe since his rookie year, or maybe didn't even see it then. You saw like emotion out of Walker that was phenomenal. A double-double, 16 and 14. The 5 blocks, I think he had 4 of them in the first half. So he made an impact immediately. By the way, he went 80% from the free throw line, which we were talking about the other day. He went 33% during the preseason. And he went to the line more often than he went to the line more often. And that means he's getting to the hoop, right? And I thought his performance was phenomenal. I thought Taylor Hendricks woke up after a minute, and you saw some of the flashes of why they really, really like that kid. But the Jazz are doing – last night shouldn't just be the blueprint in the second half of what you want this team to be, JJ. This needs to be the blueprint all year. Play phenomenal, develop your guys, and lose.
Exactly. Last night was perfect.
It was awesome.
It was the perfect start to the season, because everything you want to see out of this team is exactly what you got. Rookies getting minutes, young players getting developmental minutes, young guys learning, somebody like Lowry giving you an all-star performance, someone like Walker giving you hope for his future. There's so many things that you saw last night. You're like, yeah, that was great. And then at the end of the game, made it interesting. It was entertaining. It was fun. They come up short. This is how it's going to go all season long. They're going to be in a lot of games. I think if you lose 20, if you end up losing 60 games, well, that's a lot of losses.
It is.
So you're winning 20% of your games? But if you say 20% of your games are losses, 20% of your games are wins, and only say 70% of your games are like this, I think you can live with that. They're obviously going to get blown out on a few nights. But if this is the kind of effort you get, this is kind of the growth you see out of young players, and we all know the assignment, right? We're not dumb. And I think I appreciate the Jazz right out of the gate this year didn't make us all treat us all like we're dumb.
I thought it was going to be.
We know what the team is doing this year.
I really
and it's
did.
for a good reason and a good cause, because the future of this franchise demands that they go out and get a young superstar player to pair with what they already have here. And possibly we're going to do this for the next 2 years. So buckle up for that, to use Bowler's terminology. But two people I want to talk about. Because Lowry's an all-star, not surprised by the 35 and 9. Colin Sexton solid in 25 minutes, 16 points. Love Colin Sexton. I want Colin Sexton to be a part of the Jazz long-term plan.
You want to see him. You want to see
Colin
him part of that.
Sexton,
okay.
I want to be a part of the Jazz long-term plan, and I think it's very possible. I don't want to go. I think that all those things are great. Jordan Clarkson did what he does off the bench. We talked about him. He's going to be the sixth man for this team.
For sure. It took a minute for him to get going, too. Like, he came in sloppy,
Yes.
and I think that was half of the reason
It's
that
Jordan. We know Jordan, right? So I'm not really
right.
Jordan was Jordan. Two players I want to hit. You hit one of them pretty well, Walker Kessler. Now, what really impressed me about Walker Kessler was not just his numbers. 16 points, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks on 6 of 7 shooting and 4 of 5 from the free throw line. That is awesome.
That is as efficient as it
From
gets.
the center position?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, imagine Rudy Gobert. Those are Rudy Gobert numbers in his prime, right?
Yeah.
That's going to get you a long-term extension in the NBA if you can do that all the time. Is Walker going to be able to do that every night? No. But right out of the gate, he resolved a lot of our concerns with a performance like that.
Yeah, and can he do it every night, right? I mean, that's the real question, right?
Probably not, but we didn't see anything like that last year.
No, and
not even close.
So in the preseason, he struggled a little bit with Zach Edey when they played the Grizzlies in the summer league, excuse me. And then even who was the rookie out of UConn, the center out of UConn? Not Cragen. What is it?
Donovan Clingan.
Clingan.
Yeah.
He had a hard time with Clingan.
Yeah.
A guy who, I mean, look, Walker Kessler's played 2 years in the NBA.
You should win that matchup.
You got to win that matchup.
Yeah.
And last night, he beyond won that matchup. He frustrated Edey like crazy.
Edey did not look good last night.
5 points, 6 fouls, gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Walker
I mean,
was better.
Yes. I loved it.
Yeah.
Who was the second player for you then?
Taylor Hendricks.
Okay.
Coming into
not
the
crazy
season,
then.
no,
I'm
not
crazy.
at all, not at all. Because Kessler, I know it's one game, but my goodness, if he's that aggressive, going after rebounds, playing with that kind of intensity, improves his free throw percentage. I mean, the hustle, the blocking of shots, just he was so involved, and he looks like he's in better shape. He looks like he's worked on certain things with his game that maybe were lacking, and I think that getting in the gym, you could tell he's done a lot of work. So now to Taylor Hendricks. Taylor Hendricks is a guy I'm worried that could be a bust. Because you obviously look at him like physically he looks the part. But can he play NBA basketball?
And he was the guy that had he's the one who came out of that draft, the number 9 pick overall last year, and you felt like he had massive upside. Everybody talked about how much of an NBA
say
body
upside. What's the opposite of that? He's a boom or bust pick. Either he's going to be great or he's not going to be great. And after last year, and even in summer league wasn't great, I was worried coming into the season, like, is he going to be able to do the things he needs to do to play in this league? Because physically, he's gifted. Physically, he is an NBA body. My goodness, is he an NBA body? But can he do all the things he needs to do as a basketball player? Well, night 1, 3 of 5 from the three-point line.
Right.
2 steals, 5 rebounds, a block, 12 points. That's a pretty darn good start in 29 minutes. I liked what I saw from Taylor Hendricks. A lot of positive stuff there that moving forward has to have you really excited about what he can do. He's definitely improved. So he just has to understand playing the NBA game. It's not even, I'm sure he's smart enough to figure it out, but you need to understand how to play NBA basketball and understand a lot of the nuances of the game that takes time to figure out. But as far as you can see that there was definitely some improvement. He can be an outstanding 3-and-D guy in this league if he plays the way he did in Game 1. Now, there's 81 more. Let's see. But night 1, Game 1, those two, I was watching those two specifically because I think those are two guys I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Guess both of them answered my questions on one night. We'll see if they can do it consistently.
Cody Williams comes in the game, gets 20 minutes, and they weren't good minutes. Like he struggled, and guess why? He's out there. I want to say he had 4 fouls, 0 points on 0 shots. Sorry, no, he had 2 points because he took 2 free throws. But he had 4 fouls, and I think they were all against Ja. Like it was just the guy who is scary for probably everybody on the floor to try to figure out.
First NBA game.
First NBA game, and he's got to match up against.
He's 19.
He's got to try to stop. John Morant going to the hoop. That's a tough ask.
Welcome to the league, bud.
Yeah, and you know what? And there were times he's out there, and Ja would say something as he's like walk by him, and you're going, I would love to hear what he's saying to him right now, right? He's probably not trashing him, but he's probably like, welcome to the league, dude. Like, you're not, if you can't stop me tonight.
You don't think there was trash talk? I bet there was trash
if you can't
talk.
stop me
Rook.
right now.
Hey, Rook.
I know. I'm going to be honest too. I actually really loved seeing Ja out there and playing phenomenal basketball. Like there's part of me that goes, and again, I have a almost 16-year-old who is there probably half for the Jazz and then the other half.
Oh yeah,
for Ja Morant. He's looking at his shoes. Look what the shoes he's wearing. Like right, he starts going through and he's like, look at him. I'm this close to Ja. I'm like, we're not close. And then he's like, look at that guy. He is obviously the best player on the court when he's on the floor. Typically, I mean, like the most dynamic, certainly. And it was just, I know he's got a weird past, dude, and I'm glad.
An unnecessary past, like
yes.
just dumb, irresponsible,
hanging out with the wrong people. Like you got bad advice. You had bad people you were hanging out with. And I hope that he's moving forward and
young kid that talented.
Yeah,
he's got good parents. They love him. Like, where's this coming from? Why do you feel like you got to go on Instagram flashing a gun and saying stupid stuff? Like, what are you doing? What are you guys doing? Like, getting loaded on your, plane flights and all this kind of stuff. Like, be a pro. Like, you have a great opportunity here, and you got a ton of money, and a franchise is depending on you, a league's depending on you,
right?
And all these young people look up to you. Like, knock off the nonsense. Get out there and be a great player you are, because this league needs him. I love watching him play basketball, and I was so sad and disappointed about all the knucklehead off the court stuff that he was doing. Like, where did it even come from? What are you doing, man?
Yeah,
and it kind of came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, really weird.
I don't know all his past or whatever, but like there's not. It just felt like just an irresponsible thing, and hopefully he's past it. Hopefully he got some help in the offseason he needed to just focus on ball. Because go out there and play basketball and do the right things, and every kid in the country is going to want to wear your jersey.
Oh, sure.
Because you're that good.
Did it shock you that Cody Williams almost had 20 minutes, though? Very first night of...
No, because we know the assignment.
You're the
right?
number... Was he the 9th or 8th pick? Or
it was
10th. Yeah, so 10th overall pick. People want to see. I mean, you're expected to get on the court at some point pretty quickly, but 20 minutes on night one.
The Jazz are going to try to figure out if these young guys can play, and I know that he's a little undersized right now physically for the NBA. He's 19, but you got to figure it out. Go play, man.
Look, it was a pretty fun game to watch. I mean, it got really exciting there toward the end, and I will say that whatever you expected out of this team. Certainly, there's still some excitement. I mean, there were, I don't know, it felt like 10 lob alley-oop dunks on the night for the Jazz. I mean, I was probably closer to 5 or 6, but Lowry had 3 or 4 of them. Lobbed to Walker for a nice dunk as well. Like the high-flying stuff that you want to see as a fan, it was there. And like I said, I saw an energy out of Walker that I hadn't seen. I probably didn't even see it his rookie year, because he was still trying to figure things out. And it was almost like he was shocked himself that he was playing so well. He was just playing so aggressively. And then you didn't see that guy last year. You saw the guy who was more timid. You saw the guy, and this is something I want to ask Thurl Bailey about, like to go from that tremendous rookie season where he was overperforming as a rookie to last year with being banged up and losing a ton of confidence. That's the thing that I thought happened, is that based off of the way he was acting last night, there's a different version of him. He's put on muscle. Right?
Yeah, he's gained weight, yeah.
He's gained some weight, but he looks like he's sharp.
Yep. And
it looks like he's pumped. It looks like he's into it, which we kind of wondered about, right? Like, is this guy into it? And I think it was a phenomenal way to start the year. But like I said, phenomenal because it was 126 to 124. It got down to the end. Lowry scores 35. The rookies were getting a lot of minutes, and they lose the game by 2 points. Give me that every night.
They know the assignment.
It's such a weird place to be in.
I know.
Big T Thurl Bailey is going to join us later in the program, and we'll ask Big T about all those things. That's going to be the 5 o'clock hour. We've got a fun, jam-packed show today. You're going to get Mitch Harper, our BYU insider for KSLSports.com. He's going to join us in the 4 o'clock hour. But coming right up, Steve Bartle covers the Utes for KSLSports.com. He's our Ute insider. He's going to give us a little bit of a breakdown on how this Ute team is adjusting this week to the new offensive coordinator that they have and how travel down to Houston is going to look. And we're looking forward to it. I want to see this team turn this thing around.
Covering the Utes better than anyone else. This is Ute Insider Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome on in. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us today. Joining us on the program, as he does every week, usually on Thursdays, he is Steve Bartle, the Ute Insider for KSLSports.com. Steve, it's been quite a weird week, man. Has it just been are you pins and needles trying to cover the Utes this week? Is everybody looking around? Is the tension in the room wild? How's everybody taking this week now with Mike Bajakian taking over those play calling duties?
It's definitely been an interesting week. Let's start there. Yeah, it's it's been pretty interesting. Obviously, going back to last Saturday, and you could just kind of sense the vibe and the tension in Kyle Whittingham's press conference, right? And it was clear that he was frustrated with the offense, and obviously with Andy Ludwig and his decision of his own volition, as Kyle Whittingham put it. Resigning, it's definitely been, a whirlwind of things that this team is going through, particularly for the guys on the offense side of the ball, right? There's definitely some emotion with Andy Ludwig, moving on and all that, but there's also a sense of like, hey, this is on us now. Like we've got to work on things. We've got to clean up things. We've got an opportunity here to kind of hit the reset button and get going here. So, it's been interesting, this week, just kind of covering the team, and you can feel the difference, when you talk to offensive and defensive players. Like the defense, they're playing good ball. It's just they know they need to take another step and elevate, their play even higher. Whereas the defense, it's like we're talking about a group that's, having to start from ground one, from step one all over again. So it's an interesting dynamic. And I think, Houston, given where they're at this season, they're looking at this game as an opportunity to get a win that they probably didn't think they could, a few weeks ago. And yet for Utah, this is, an opportunity to get right. And it has to be the game to get right, because you don't get another chance before you go into your bye week. And then, you take on BYU in a couple weeks. So this has to be the game for the offense to get some things going here.
Before we move forward and talk about that game against Houston, what Mike Bajakian brings, I want to look back on Andy Ludwig's tenure at Utah, because, Steve, there was some really good times. 2019, that team was awesome, one of the best Utah teams we've seen. And then 2021 and 22 were special, winning Pac-12 championships with him as the offensive coordinator. Why did it go wrong this season? What was the difference? Why did things not work out in your mind and what you've seen and from the conversations you had? Why was this year so different, and why was the offense so bad this year when so many years under his watch it's been great?
Yeah, that's such there's a lot of layers to that question, right? Because there's a lot to get into, and I think when you talk about the struggles of this offense, I think they stem primarily from becoming too predictable. And, if the casual fan can guess what play is coming, whether run or pass, on, at a 70% rate, that's pretty good. That's also, if the opposing coaches, they're probably going to have a much better idea of run or pass, and more specifically, what type of run they're going to see, what direction, what gap it might be hitting. And that's just, that's what I think ultimately we've seen over the last couple of weeks, is not that these guys have gotten worse, not that these guys have, this isn't a talented team. This is still a talented team. It's just that the offense became more and more predictable. And, part of that is because you do have a true freshman quarterback that just doesn't have the understanding of not just the offense, but the game at this level, right? Because now it's not only about executing what you're supposed to do, out of your own playbook. Now you've got to know how to do that against defenses that are trying to take away certain things, that know what's coming, right? And so there are adjustments, there are checks that quarterbacks have to make, and reads that quarterbacks have to make that, for a true freshman, probably never made at the high school level. And so it's just the demands of that position and the demands of this season, I think, just made it tough for a true freshman like Isaac Wilson, despite, he's got talent. You can see the talent at moments, but I think just given what's gone on over the last couple of weeks and becoming more predictable, that's where we've seen this offense struggle more and more, as it just became more and more predictable. And again, with this offense, with Andy Ludwig's offense, that's the whole point of it is, and why there's so much to it, right? When you talk to Cam and you talk to Isaac back in the fall, they talked about this there's a lot to learn. I think Cam put it best that you got to be a geek. You got to be a nerd with this offense, just because there is a lot to take in. And the reason that is that, Ludwig wants his quarterback to always have his offense in the best situation possible. And so there are certain checks that quarterbacks have to make. And for a true freshman, that's just a lot. That's a lot to grasp. And again, then you've got to marry that to, all right, how do we execute against this defense? So, there's a lot going on, and now there have been other things that have started to, the cracks in the offense. The offensive line wasn't great last week. And again, I think a lot of it has to do with the predictability. When you have a defense that can just, they know that what's coming, right? It's tough to execute at the level that you need to. So, it's disappointing that this is the conclusion of Andy Ludwig's tenure, because instant impact, from the moment he was hired in 2019, the way that he was able to elevate Tyler Huntley's level of play from 2018 to 2019 was incredible. And then you get into 2021 and 22 with those offenses, historically great offenses at Utah, some of the best in the country, to what it is now. It's unfortunate. I think Ludwig is great when he's got the talent in place and can work with it and has the guys in the system that can work through it. But that's not the offense right now with Isaac at the helm. He's a true freshman, and I think he needs, and the offense needs to hit the reset button and kind of build a foundational plan around Isaac moving forward.
What does that look like? What's a foundational plan look like for Isaac? I mean, is it asking your seniors and your, the leadership on that offense, guys like Mekhi Bernard and Brant Keithy, and you have all these weapons, and Dorian Singer and Money Parks you've obviously been able to make a connection with. Those things can happen. So how does that look? What does a package look like that is tailored to Isaac Wilson for right now, for the best, to get the best out of him?
Yeah, there's been some questions about what that's going to look like, right? With, when you talk about Andy Ludwig's offense, you always kind of hear this, it's synonymous. It's a pro system. It's a pro style system, right? And when you think of that, you think under center, you think, heavy personnel, 12 tight end, 12 personnel type stuff. But there's, you saw it in that Arizona State game with Cam. They can very much go spread. They can get in shotgun. They can go spread. They can have 3 wide receivers on the field. And with some of the personnel that they have on that side of the ball, there's some versatility with Brant Keithy. And, with a guy like Landon King, who can play, the same position as Brant, he could be a weapon that Utah utilizes in sort of a jumbo spread type look. And I think going to more of a spread, just because, knowing the system that Isaac came up in high school under Coach Kerr at Corner Canyon, knowing that he's worked primarily in a spread offense, there's going to be a lot of familiarity. There's going to be a comfort in that sort of style of play for him. And I think with that, that's going to be probably where we see the biggest shift. It's not going to be, right, this isn't Bajakian taking over and it's going to be a wholesale change and Isaac taking over. It's not going to be that. It still has to be within the playbook and the system that's been installed to this point. And so, but we know that there's a lot of, there's still that part of the playbook that Bajakian and Isaac can utilize. So I anticipate that being more of what we see. How much more of it we see, I don't know. I still, expect this to be, good mixture of under center stuff and spread stuff. But I think, for Bajakian to kind of help Wilson out, I think, you kind of have to dictate to him where to go with the ball, to create opportunities, to create easier decisions, to cut parts of the field out of that equation for him, and to just simplify the game. And I think that is, and it can't all just be at the line of scrimmage. That was the issue last week against TCU, is that, if there was a pass play, it was 2-3 yards around the line of scrimmage, and that was it. Outside of the money parks deep ball, a lot of the passing game was around the line of scrimmage. That's just not gonna work. So you gotta do some things. You gotta create some easy opportunities, some easy buttons, as I like to call them, for Isaac, and then just build from there.
Steve, last question here for you before we get you out. I just wanted to see are you getting a vibe for what the attitude is of the team this week and the resolve that they have going down to Houston?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely frustration. There's a lot of that, and I think it was interesting. I think Kareni Reed, made a comment that was pretty eye-opening, and he said that, look, like, there's a lot of older guys on this team. We've never lost 3 straight, and so for us, this is foreign to us. But we know that we've got to stick together. We know that to get through tough times, we've got to look to each other inside the program, and so I think defensively, you can trust that those guys are still bought in, and you can see it in their performance. Offensively, it's hard not to acknowledge that there is frustration. There's growing frustration. You can see it on the field, and I think for Utah this week, we'll see just how this group responds with the coaching change and what Bajakian can do for this group. Because there is talent for this offense to kind of get back in gear and to find a level of play that can work moving forward and complement the defense moving forward. And I think that's just kind of where this group is at with this week and with the offensive change.
Steve Bartle, Ute Insider for KSLSports.com, joining us on the program. Of course, the Utes down in Houston, hoping to get things right at least before they head into that bye week. Got to have something positive going into that one. We appreciate it, man. We'll chat with you again, and we'll see how this one goes against the Cougars down in Houston this weekend.
Sounds good, fellas. Appreciate you guys.
There you go.
Thanks, Steve.
Steve Bartle.
Plenty of barbecue options down there. Steve will eat well.
Ooh, I did I think one time when we were covering the NBA playoffs, I went, honestly, it was in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it was like they had a security guy.
Like a bouncer?
Yes. And like he would make sure that you parked in like, in the right place or whatever, but it was 100% like you were eating in the back porch of this house. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. Now that I think about it, I think we just went to a guy's house and then we offered to pay him food. He was just cooking back there. I don't know. It might not even have been a restaurant.
Everybody makes barbecue down there every day.
I think I stole somebody's
Every
food.
Single household in Houston has burnt ends available if you get there soon enough.
Oh, man. No, it's good stuff. All right. We'll take a break. We got more to go right around the corner. Let's get to our Would You Rather around the corner. First, I want to remind you, we, of course, are encouraging you to go think about those people who do the awesome job in your neighborhood as the youth sports volunteers. We want to honor those people with the Hercules Hero of the Week. Somebody who's a team mom, somebody who coaches that softball team, coaches that soccer team, and they do it, and it's volunteer, and they've been doing it for years, and they helped your kids get to a spot. So many of us are JJ, you and I, we work nights. We have to entrust our kids with other people to teach them the sportsmanship, the games, the sports themselves. And so many people are doing the same thing. We want to honor those volunteers who do such a phenomenal job. You can nominate that person for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Just go to KSLSports.com/contest. KSLSports.com/contest. They get a gift card from Hercules Credit Union. They get $200 to spend at Beehive Meals. It is a phenomenal program. KSLSports.com/contest for your Hercules Hero of the Week, brought to you by Hercules Credit Union and Beehive Meals. We'll take the break. We'll come back. Would you rather next? 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best college football coverage in Utah is on the KSL Sports Zone. Ready? The Cougars take their undefeated record on the road for a battle against Central Florida. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Here's the deal. I was thinking, we just had Steve Bartle on, and I can't help but think, like, man, because if it does go the wrong direction for the Utes this weekend, then what?
If you can't beat Houston, you can't beat anybody in the league.
What is it? What does it mean?
It kind of feels like BYU last year, where it's like it just becomes a thing.
Right.
Like you're kind of stuck in the malaise of losing, and you don't have answers. The confidence dips. Guys start pressing. Guys start trying to make plays on their own. When you're not doing your 111th, problems happen. You know what happens in football. I mean, it can go a wrong direction. There's only if they lose at Houston, I don't think they will. But if they lose at Houston, you only got 4 games left after a bye week. How much motivation is there? What's left in that group?
Okay, let me ask you this. This is a terrible would you rather, but here goes. You're a Utah fan. Would you rather go 5-7, miss out on bowl eligibility, and have it? I mean, that's the reality is if you lose to Houston, the 5-7's on the dang table. Would you rather be 6-6 and go to a bowl game, or 5-7 and that win is against BYU?
Oh boy, that's actually a great would you rather. So you want to go to a bowl game. You're young.
They got to be like Houston.
Isaac Wilson needs 15 more practices that you wouldn't get if you don't go to a bowl game. You got young guys on this team that need to get better.
I like the utility, JJ.
But if that one more win they get is BYU, I think Utah fans would take that over going to a bowl game.
You think so? Oh, would they?
How many bowl games has Utah been to and not cared about that's not the Rose Bowl over the last decade?
Last year was one of them.
The Alamo Bowl in 2019. Remember how thrilling that was?
Oh, gosh.
Barn burner.
Did they play Texas in that one?
They
did.
did.
Was a terrible game.
Well, they didn't show up. They didn't care. Guys didn't play. Guys checked out. Bowl games are overrated if you're not playing in year 6 or a playoff game.
You just said you get extra practices for the kids. You sound like Kalani Sitake there.
I talked myself out of it. Utah fan would take 5-7 with the win over BYU. There's no doubt.
Ruin the Cougs season?
100%.
Take them out of the playoff.
Oh, my gosh.
Discussion.
Can you imagine if Utah ends up knocking BYU out?
Like if they get 2 losses and they don't get the Big 12 championship game in conference,
and
one of those
and
is
Utah was the reason?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Crazy. All right.